Welcome to this SCOMIS bite-sized recording of using Microsoft 365 collaborating with pupils. In this recording, I will be demonstrating the use of Teams within Microsoft 365 for education from both a teacher and pupil perspective, including creating class teams, sharing resources, setting and grading assignments, and giving feedback to pupils. So the first thing I'm going to do is to sign into 365 for Education online using a web browser. So once I've started my web browser, I can then navigate to office.com and click on the sign in option in the top right-hand corner. It will then ask me for my school username, which is going to be the same as my email address. I'm just signing in with a test teacher account. And then you should see that it redirects you to your school's own sign-in page. So you should recognize the school logo in the background, and it's then going to ask me to pop in my password. And that's me then signed into 365, and I can see my Office 365 ribbon down the left-hand side with all my familiar web apps. So I now want to create a class team in 365. Quite often these are pre-populated using information stored in your school's MIS. And to access them, you click on the Teams app in your ribbon. But with this particular test account, I haven't actually got any teams that have been pre-created. So as a teacher, I've got an option to join or create a team. And in this case, I'm going to create a class team. And then it's a good idea to give it a descriptive name. Normally you might give it the name of the subject and the teacher's name, but in this case, I'm just going to call it my class. And then the next step is to actually add some students to join the class. So I'm going to add these students into my class, and if I wanted to, I could add additional co-teachers. And that's my team created. And if I want to edit a class team at a later date, all I have to do is go into Teams and then choose the team that I want to edit. So in this case, here's the My Class team I created earlier. And if I wanted to, I could change the avatar. And I could also manage the team membership. So for example, I could add or remove students or add or remove additional teachers. And then if I go back to the general area of my class, you can see I've got all these streams along the top. So posts are where student and teacher conversations for my class are shown. Files are the area where I can upload resources for my students. Class notebooks are where the student portfolios and class notebooks can be set up. Assignments are the area where I can push out assignments for my students to complete. And grades is where the teacher can see the gradebook. Students won't see the grades option, but a teacher can have a gradebook showing all the marks for all the assignments that have been pushed out to students. So the next thing I'm going to do is just create an assignment which I can push out to my students later in Teams. And I'm going to go to OneDrive, which is my cloud storage space, and I could upload documents I've already got stored on my computer, or I could create a new document from scratch. And that's actually what I've done. I've just very quickly knocked up an activity worksheet, which is a series of maths questions. And as you can see, that's been saved into my work OneDrive. So I'm now going to push an assignment out to one of my classes. So I'm going to select my example class, make sure I've got the general channel selected, and go to the assignment stream. This is the first time I'm creating an assignment for this class, and I've got a choice of creating a new assignment, creating a quiz, or reusing and repurposing an assignment that I've created for another class. But I'm going to create my own fresh assignment. And the first thing I've got to do is to give the assignment a descriptive title. And then if I want, I can also add some instructions for the students. And I can then add a resource. Now in this case, I'm actually going to add the maths quiz that I created earlier and saved into OneDrive. So I can attach that rather like an email attachment. And by default, students can't edit. It's a read-only document. But if I click on the doing dots, I can change the status so that students can edit their own copy. And what this means is that when the students open this worksheet, it creates their own individual copy that they can work on. The other thing I can do is actually score it or grade it out of a number of points. I think there are 7 questions in my quiz, so I'm going to grade this out of 7. And I can then assign it to multiple classes. I'm just going to assign it to all students in this particular class, but I could differentiate and select different students for different assignments. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a due date. So I'm going to make it Friday at midnight. And the other thing I'm also going to do, that's the date by which I want the students to hand it in, but I'm actually also going to give them another couple of days grace. So I'm going to give them until the end of play on the Sunday. So I'm going to give them 2 days grace. After that date, students won't be able to turn work back in. And then the final thing I've got to do is just to assign that assignment to those students in my class. So I'm now going to view the assignment from a student's perspective. So I'm going to sign in to office.com with a student account. And this is my test student account here. And if I go down my 365 ribbon, I can see I've got the Teams app. And then once I open Teams, I've got an assignments area, and that will show me a list of all the assignments that I've been set for all of the classes for which I'm a member. And I can see I've got this maths quiz, which is due in on Friday, and it's worth 7 points. I can also navigate to that assignment via the class area itself. So if I go into Teams and click on that particular class, you can see in the posts, which is the communication channel, there's a message telling me I've got an assignment that's due in. And then if I go to the assignments stream, I can also see a list of all the assignments for this particular class. So as a student, I'm now going to open this assignment, and I've got my instructions, the due date and the closing date, and I've also got the worksheet itself. And you'll notice at the top I've got a hand in button, and I click on that when I think it's a quality to return back to the teacher for marking. So I'm going to open up this activity worksheet, and it will open up in 365. And I've got a series of questions to answer. So 8 plus 9, 17. More than 3 is 9. 3, 5, 2, 6, 8, 24. Terry has 5 cats. Zach has 6 cats. How many cats do the boys have altogether? Well, they have 11, but let's put an incorrect answer in. Let's just say they have too many cats. And then the next questions are 18, 7, and 4. Okay, and all I need to do, because it's 365 is a cloud, I close that and all the edits are automatically saved. So you can see if I do open it up again, all my answers are safely there. I don't have to go file and save as. Every edit is saved as I type. Now, as a student, I'm now ready to hand in or turn in my completed worksheet. Sometimes though, you will find, due to students having lack of access to IT at home, that they end up getting their parents to maybe print out the teacher's worksheet, and they will then complete it by hand and then upload the photograph. So if we were to pretend that this particular student printed out the worksheet, filled it in by hand, and then the parents sort of saved a photograph to the machine they were using, that student could also add additional documents and hand them in to the teacher by clicking on the paperclip, uploading a document from this device, and it will point to my desktop, and in my photos folder, I've got this photo, which I could pretend is a picture of the work that I've done by hand. And I can then attach that to my assignment and click on Done. And you can now see that my work is not only this completed sheet, but also I've attached a photograph, which could be a photograph of a piece of handwritten work. And I'm now going to hand that back into my teacher because it's complete. And you'll see a little fun animation, all different sorts of animations will appear, and it will tell me the date and time that I've handed that piece of work in. So now, as a student, if I want to check if I've got any outstanding assignments, I can click on the assignments in my Teams ribbon, and I've got nothing left to hand in. If I were to go back to my class and have a look at the assignments, again, it's confirming that I've got nothing left to hand in. I have actually got a grade area, even though I'm a student, but this grade area just shows my own grades and not grades of other members of the class. So a teacher will have a grade book and a grade stream which shows the grades of everyone in the class, but individual students just see their grades. And at the moment, I've got one assignment that's been handed in, but at the moment I've got no feedback and it hasn't been scored or marked by the teacher. So as a teacher, I'm just going to sign in and see if any of those students in my class have handed their assignments in. And to do that, I'm going to go to Teams, click on the class I want to look at, and then click on the assignment stream. And I can then see a list of all the assignments that I've set to that class. And you can see this maths quiz has been completed by one of the two students on my class. And I can click on that for more information. And I can see student 1 has handed their work in and student 2 is yet to hand their work in. And if I drill down into student 1, I can actually see the activity worksheet that they completed on screen. But I could also see any other resources or documents that they've uploaded with that assignment. So in this example, we also pretended that they printed a copy out and it was uploaded as a photograph. And you can see if I click on that as a teacher, then that photograph loads up. So I'm just going to quickly mark this maths quiz, and I can actually see they've got 6 out of 7 questions correct, and I can also give them some feedback. So I can say, well done. So you can never have too many cats. And then I can return that back to the student. So I've now marked and returned this student's work. If I had a whole batch of work to mark, then I could actually select from the different students, and they would show bold if the student had returned the work back, or I could use the advanced buttons to mark one student after the other. And I'm then going to close out of this screen, and you can see I've now got a list in my assignments of students who've returned the work and also students who are yet to return their work. And just to say, if I look again as the student, now the teacher's returned the work, I have these notifications in my Teams. So I've got these little speech bubbles with numbers in showing me how many notifications I've got. And in activity, it will tell me that I've got an assignment returned. And that also shows up in the chat. And I could also go into my class, look at the assignments, expand completed, and see that this has actually been marked. And I can see my teacher's feedback and see my score. Now, if I wanted to, I could improve that and then hand it back in for marking. And finally, as the teacher, let's just pretend that the other student has also handed their work in. So as a teacher, if I go to assignment stream for that class, I can see that I've returned feedback to one of the students, but 2 of the 2 students have handed their work in. And let me very quickly just give feedback to the student I haven't marked yet. And I can see they've got 4 out of the 7 questions correct. And I can give them some feedback and return it back to the student. So as a teacher, it now shows me in the assignment stream that everything's been marked, and I can see that everyone's returned my maths quiz assignment. And if I go up to the grade stream as a teacher, I can actually see my class gradebook, which shows all the assignments as columns along the top and rows showing all my students going down and the marks that they got in that particular assignment. And I can also open up the student work from there if I want to remind myself of the work that they did. And I can also export all of this information to an Excel spreadsheet. And don't forget, it's very important to sign out of 365 after you've finished using it for the day. So I'm going to click on my profile and click on sign out. And it's really important that you remove any traces of your user account from your web browser, especially if you're using a shared device such as one in a library. So after you've signed out, the other thing that I recommend that you do is that you tell your browser just to forget those accounts, as anyone who uses the machine after you won't then see the name of your user account that you've used. This now brings me to the end of this recording. Thank you for listening. For further help or advice, please do not hesitate to contact SCOMIS on 01392 385300. Thank you.